Alright, let's get into it.
If you knew just how sick their plan is, how sick this game is, how sick they are, it's very possible you would stop listening to every single one of them altogether. But let's cut to the chase. Media personalities, news anchors, musicians, high people in political GOV. I mean, the list goes on and on. Fighters, entertainment, everything. Even pastors, mega pastors, have sold themselves to the dark side to deceive all of humanity into accepting the false light. But what must come before the false light? The great dilemma, right? Like Ronald Reagan, that one thing would pull all of humanity together. But let me tell you, while everybody is looking for some external force that's going to take over the earth, they're among us right now. And everything has been pre-planned and shown in the movies to generate your willingness to receive whatever they do. And whether 3, 4, or 5 letter agencies, massive conglomerates like BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Northern Trust, that they're all working together to deceive me and you, the people. Even to the minuscule stuff like posting fake AI pictures and calling them real. So the question is, how much longer?
It really does look like a demon is trying to reveal itself, and I have always wondered, why does that happen? Is it really a signal issue, some kind of artifacting that's happening within the signal, or is it some kind of otherworldly entity trying to make itself known? And it always seems to happen with the face. Given that the face is the majority of the subject on screen, still, let me know what you guys think.
We have all lived before, and I'm going to tell you how you died in your past life. This is all the craziest theories in the world, from the most well-known to the darkest of the dark. As you know, we're going from the top to the bottom. Buckle in. Yeah, this is wild. Genuinely. Oh, I'm traumatized. So to start off with, there's part 1. Theory of reincarnation. Everybody knows this. Basically, when we die, we get reincarnated and come back as a different being. So life goes on and on and on. We've probably all lived hundreds, maybe thousands of lives. And now this links into the second part. Some scientists and actually high-ranking researchers worldwide have said that birthmarks could be some kind of indication of a past life. Potentially how you died. And apparently these birthmarks are like a warning to you. But if you have a birthmark, take note right now. Make sure to share this video. If you have no birthmark, it's thought that you died in your previous life from natural causes, no trauma involved. A red birthmark means you died in a fire or some kind of tragic accident like that. A brown birthmark could indicate a wound, like a stab wound or even a gunshot wound. And if you have a very unusual birthmark, like a bright green or a bright red stretching all across different parts of your body, it's thought you died from something very traumatic.
Man, I am so glad this video actually popped up. So many people ask what's in my eye. This one right here. There's this little black spot in it, and people think that it's sleepies, eye boogers. They just always ask. I get asked quite frequently what it is. It is a birthmark. It is something that I had checked out when I was a kid, and it was told to be a birthmark. Viewer discretion is advised. I'll get close to the camera so you can see it a little bit better, so you know it's not a piercing, a tattoo, eye boogies, or sleepies. So if you don't like seeing eyeballs really up close, you might want to skip. Alright. I really dislike this lens so much it never focuses when I need it to focus. Look, you see this? Look, right. This doesn't come out. It is just this, but brown. And it looks like it's got a shimmer to it because that's just the light. Now my camera's out of focus, but not eye boogies, okay? And I guess with my birthmark being brown, I either got shot or stabbed in my eye. Interesting. Do you have any birthmarks? Hey, if you haven't done so already and if you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I normally upload a video like this 2 times a day, Monday through Saturday, early in the morning and later in the afternoon. Unfortunately, today I'm only going to be uploading this video, just simply due to time constraints. So I would like to say I'm sorry for that, but tomorrow we should be back on schedule. And for everyone that's made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Pastors have apparently been told to prepare for UFO and alien disclosure. Yeah, so the other day, a pastor named Perry Stone claimed that a large number of pastors were invited to a meeting with government officials and debriefed on the UFO phenomena, basically saying to prepare your congregations and that we're not alone in the universe. And the following day, another pastor came out, Larry Ragland, talking further about this with some interesting claims. Check this out.
A fellow pastors are invited to come to a private meeting with a group of men who are connected with the intelligence world that are believers, but are still have very high security clearance. These are legit, true men of God that are still connected to Washington and even this current administration and all branches of military. And they literally told us, we had a sitting congressman, a very well-known congressman from Missouri. He called into that meeting as well. That was just for pastors. And this is what he said. On speakerphone, this sitting powerful member of Congress said, "Are the pastors listening to me?" I'm getting chills right now because this happened to me. He said, "Are the pastors in the room listening to me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, we are here." And he said, "Listen to me. Go and tell the church they are not ready for what is coming. The narrative that is coming, what they are going to say is going to be like nothing you can even imagine. They are preparing to tell us that they are from another dimension, that they are our creator, and that these beings, these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they were the ones that seeded us here. There is no such thing as God. Jesus was invented by them. The Bible was invented by them." And begin to just say, listen, prepare the people for what is coming because they're not ready.
Now, Larry has since come back and retracted some statements and trying to clarify things after Congressman Eric Burleson disputed some claims that he was making about this meeting. Now, I've been seeing people saying this is just a disinformation campaign or some kind of setup for Project Bluebeam. Although this is interesting because in the last couple of years, there has been conversation of ontological shock with disclosure, especially among religious communities, should the existence of intelligent life that happens to be visiting us or has been here for a very long time to be proven true. David Grush just said that we should be seeing some significant info released regarding UAPs and UFOs within the next 60 to 90 days. But what do you think of all this?
For me, I'll believe it when I see it, and maybe not even then. It's only on how it's presented. Because if there's these aliens, these highly advanced beings that supposedly created us, and they created the Bible, and all of the things that they're saying, why doesn't the aliens just come down and tell us that themselves? That just doesn't make any sense for there to be a third party to give us that kind of information when there's this hyper-advanced civilization of extraterrestrials that supposedly created us. There should be no problem for them themselves to just tell us that. That's one of the big reasons why I don't really believe that. And then, if something like that does happen, where there's these extraterrestrial beings that make themselves known, and they start telling everyone that they are the creators, but they only do that after the government announces it, kinda makes me think that they might be involved with the government and they're not actually aliens. But what do I know? I'm just fatuous. Let me know what you guys think about this one.
Did you see the news about the hantavirus outbreak on that cruise ship? We're told there's a dangerous strain spreading, but not to worry, it's being monitored. Sound familiar? Now let's look at an interesting pattern. In 2019, 5G networks started to roll out across the world. Shortly after, the first cases of appear. 2009, you have the 4G rollout, right around the same time as the swine flu pandemic. You see this pattern all the way back to 1920 when radio technology rolled out across the world, right around the same time as the Spanish flu pandemic. And then you have Trump, who says he was a leader of the 5G rollout and is quickly working towards 6G.
I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin?
I'm not saying there's a pandemic every time new radio technology rolls out, but they have started testing 6G, and now there's a pandemic on the horizon and people are starting to feel sick. Maybe it's all just a coincidence, and whether this turns into something serious or not, one thing is real. When people panic, the grocery store shelves empty fast. And that's why I say you need to build your food storage before you need it, because who remembers the empty shelves in 2020? I do, and that's why I created a food storage ebook and a course to guide you through how to build yours. I'm not saying you need to use this, but I am saying you don't want to be left in the grocery store fighting over the last bag of dried beans. Something about all of this just feels strange. But I don't know, I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
I truly do not see the point in 6G. Honestly, I do not even see the point in 5G. 4G was perfect. We need no more G's past the fourth one. And to be real honest, we really don't even need the G's period, but it is convenient having some kind of cellular access and data to boot outside of home internet. And it's an interesting tie-in between all of these events with the new forms of technology over the decades. It definitely does seem like there's something up with that. And man, that's a big jar of milk.
Giant squid! Yeah, giant squid have been spotted off the coast of Australia for the first time in over 25 years. Now, giant squid aren't that uncommon as you might think. There have been a few spotted outside of Japan in the past 5 years. But not in Australia, like happened the other day, and not the size of a bus. Yeah, a bus. These huge, massive, giant squid usually don't come to the surface. They like being deep under the water, where they can hunt and skeet scat and shab dab peacefully. But now, for some reason, they're coming to the surface. These giant squid, while I don't consider them monsters, could basically do whatever they want. So if you're swimming and you see one, don't try to pet it, because they like to eat, and you don't want to go to dinner with them. So, these giant squid popping up all over the world, is it a sign of something? Something more nefarious than them just looking for food? I don't know. I'm just asking the question, and I sure as heck ain't gonna explore some giant squid in the ocean to find out.
Maybe it has something to do with temperature change in the water or their lifespan. Who knows on this one?
This flying saucer, right here, this flying saucer, got to 12,400 meters, 35,000 feet, okay, in 3 minutes. Breaking the sound barrier, it achieved a speed of Mach 1. So the Germans had flying saucers achieving the speed of Mach 1 in the 1930s and 1940s. While we're flying around in our little toy ships, the Germans are flying in things that most people can't even comprehend. It says that the top speed was 2,200 kilometers per hour. And this was shown by the German scientists who witnessed this right here. I guess that's strike one against the aliens having the flying saucers and the technology. Here's an Italian flying saucer right there. See that? Italian flying saucers. It's so funny because when the whole flying saucer things came out, right? What happened was the Italians started laughing at the idea that the flying saucer was new because they already had one. So you see how Germany and Italy are kind of like the enemy during World War II when you kind of think about it? Because they already had the technology that was already there, and they're laughing around, sitting around eating some, focaccia bread and talking about how they already had flying saucers. Like, just imagine you eating your focaccia and you're just flying around in your saucer at the exact same time.
Here's more things I want to know. I want to know about the Jay Gould Memorial Library in the Bronx, New York. This beautiful structure in the Bronx is directly inspired by another beautiful structure in Rome, the Pantheon. The architects McKim, Mead, and White, who built Penn Station, were hired to create this library. This library was funded by Helen Miller Shepherd, the daughter of Jay Gould, who the library was named after. It's made out of concrete, marble, limestone, granite, all the normal stuff you build with in 1895 to 1900. It officially opened in 1901, about a 6-year build for this beautiful structure. Compared to the Pantheon in Rome, this building is not as big, but it definitely does a great job paying homage to it. This building is built in a Greek cross format, where the Pantheon is built in a full rotunda format. The rotunda at the Pantheon is about 15,500 square feet. The rotunda in this is about 3,500 square feet, so drastically different there. What's also interesting is the ceiling on this rotunda, which also has an oculus like the Pantheon, just not as big and open, is that it has the same format as sacred geometry and looks like that of a sunflower. Pretty cool. The height of the library, which is now an event space, it's no longer a full library, is about 80 feet tall, where the Pantheon is 142 feet tall. The portico entrance of the library has 16 Corinthian columns, which also mimics the Pantheon. The only difference is, these are made out of beautiful, rare Connemara marble, but the ones on the Pantheon are made of pink and gray Egyptian granite, which came from Egypt in the 1100s. It's a gorgeous structure right here in America that could fit into Europe. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference if they dropped that down in France or Italy. But what I want to know is, who's the man behind this library, and why did his daughter Helen Shepherd build this in his honor? Jay Gould was born in 1836 and he died in 1892 from tuberculosis. But Jay would go on to become one of the most hated and despised men in American history. That's a great title. So hey, let's build a memorial library for this guy that everybody hated so much. His daughter wanted this library to change the perception of who her father was. Jay Gould would eventually rise to power and control most of the railroad systems in America. By 1851, with all his investments and working with his railroad baron buddies, he owned about 15,000 miles of tracks in America. His first railroad was the Erie Railroad, which he got through stock manipulation and bribery. I don't like this, man. He went on to get Union Pacific, Kansas Pacific, Denver Pacific, Missouri Pacific, Texas and Pacific Railroad, Wabash Railroad, St. Louis Southwestern, and International Great Northern. And after 1881, he also controlled the elevated railways in New York City. He almost helped collapse the entire economy in 1861. He was involved with so much fraud and manipulation. Workers were disposable to him. He crushed labor unions. He's very mean. He controlled the railroads, the telegraphs, and the press. He donated zero to charity. But hey, his daughter built a library to honor him. She must have loved him. Something tells me I don't think he was a nice dad. But what I want to know is, since he controlled so many railroads, how many of his railroads were also carrying the orphan trains? I guarantee he was a part of it, because his railroads were going everywhere, and that's where the orphan trains went. They went all over the United States, with children with no background, no information, given to orphanages, sold to be indentured servants, and the list goes on. I want to know just how evil Jay Gould was, because I guarantee you, we don't know the half of it. I don't know.
I am sure that there was a lot of nefarious, evil things happening with Jay back in the day. Very interesting story, though.
Something small but very interesting just came up on the brand new episode of the Joe Rogan Experience today. And the timing? So, Congressman Tim Burchett mentioned that he was supposed to get on a call tomorrow with someone connected to Pete Hegseth's team. He said one of the top dogs. And he said that they're supposed to go through UAP-related items.
Can you give us any insight as to what's going on?
Oddly enough, I got a call that tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be briefed over the phone by, I think one of Hegseth's top dogs is going to go over some stuff with me that they've got, and I have no earthly idea.
Now, the first thing to understand is that if this is happening over a call, they're probably not getting into deeply classified material. That doesn't mean that it's not important, of course, but they're probably avoiding super classified details. But here's what actually stands out about that. Tomorrow has already passed, right? The episode was recorded days ago. I don't know exactly what day, but as of today, Thursday, May 7th, there's been no clear follow-up from Burchett on any of his social media or anything like that about that call. So what could it have been about, right? Perhaps it's tied to the 46 infamous UAP videos. Maybe it's scheduling. Maybe it's just a general briefing. Who knows? There's nothing confirmed yet, but if anything does surface that seems to be tied to that specific call, come and drop it in the comments. I'll be watching for it as well, and I'll do the same. We'll see if anything comes of it.
We will see. I do not believe anything will come from it that's truly credible, but we will see. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
One of the world's largest cities is sinking. Roads are fracturing. Buildings have begun tilting. Railways have become wobbly. And they've even had to add 14 new steps to their most famous monument as the ground underneath it falls. In fact, it's got to the point where some parts of the city are dropping at a rate of nearly an inch every single month. This is Mexico City. It's home to over 25 million people, and it has a really big problem. It sits on a giant aquifer. It's the city's main water source. But after decades of over-extraction, not only are they facing a chronic water crisis, but the ground and the soft soil above the aquifer is slowly compressing downwards as it gets emptier and emptier. But now, thanks to recent mappings by the most powerful radar system ever launched into space, NASA just showed that the city is sinking faster than even scientists expected. Over the past 100 years, some areas in Mexico have sunk more than 39 feet. That is staggering. And to make matters even worse, because the city was built on top of an ancient lake system, it essentially sits in this giant bowl surrounded by mountains. So when heavy rain comes, it naturally flows into the basin and has nowhere easy to escape. So ironically, Mexico City is now sinking, flooding, and running out of water at the same time. And there's not much they can do to reverse it.
This is by far the most unsettling website that I've ever came across. This is going to be like my 11th video on LHO HQ. It's like a conspiracy art project, but let's dive into it. We left off with this girl. Let's see where she leads. We've got some more images of like various people. We're going to keep going deeper, seeing where this leads. I don't know who this guy is. Right, okay, so this brings us back to, if I remember correctly, the court transcripts of the 1998, I think, U.S. embassy bombings that happened in Nairobi in Africa. Wow, okay, let's click on this and I'll show you something really creepy. Like, bro, what is this image? It's just genuinely terrifying. And we have more of the transcripts. Epilepsy warning, click off if you have epilepsy. All right, I went back a little bit because people before told me I was going in the wrong direction with the whole transcripts. And we have this weird image right here of these guys in masks doing something that I can't show to a guy. We clicked on another link in that page and it brought us to some pretty critical claims here on the Sharapov family, having to do with the Porsche 911, and you can guess.
Whether or not you consider it an improvement, we can have two-way communication with AI and us. We already use our cell phones and other technology like an extension of our brains, a place to store information we don't really feel like storing. But how could we use our brains to make AI better, or at least more like us? Well, we can use our own brain data, things like EEGs, or in this case fMRIs, to endow AI with symbolic reasoning. In this case, they're using data collected from human brains from an fMRI while they're looking at images to collect the topology of thought and use that for an AI's connection of thought. This is like making the connection between bat, as in you might swing it or it might fly in the air, and that's similar to a bird, which is similar to a plane, because they all, fly. That is a very difficult thing to get an LLM or a VLM to do. VLMs are a form of AI that can parse together information based on what they see around them, and yes, that can communicate with an LLM. VLMs are what are operating things like self-driving cars. And yes, translating the way humans think about associations can make an LLM a whole lot more likely to correctly identify an image that it's never seen before. But this topic is so polarized. AI is a whole lot more than just ChatGPT. This is this massive scientific field that it's all coming together to make things that are smarter.
And the whole seed oils things, people don't realize they're consuming canola, soy, corn. That's been going through this chemical process, and then they go to pour it on their food and they cook it, and then they heat it up, which then even processes it again, and then they go to eat it, and then they're poisoning themselves the entire time. So, people cooking with corn, soy, canola, vegetable oil, that's a good one, right? Marketing. You don't even know what it is. You just called it vegetable because you wanted to kind of make the people feel good about they should be cooking with some vegetable oil. If you are cooking and you decide to cook organic, extra virgin coconut oil, number one, or tallow. That's pretty much it. Or raw butter. But I don't always believe in kind of cooking raw butter. I would rather do coconut oil if I'm going to do any cooking. It always feels better with the coconut oil. Coconut oil is also high in saturated fat, and I think it's part of an animal, but that's for a whole nother video. They hydrate, and then there's the fat. Very, very good for you. Somebody said lard or butter. Yes, you can do lard too. I always forget about lard, but you can do lard as well too. No soy, no corn, no canola, none of that.
I have never cooked with coconut oil before. I'm more of an olive oil user personally, or depending on what I'm cooking, lard is a good option as well. At least if we're talking about in the realm of taste and flavor.
I want to preface this by saying I have used AI, okay? So just know that. But it's getting out of control. It's out of hand, because why is every local business that I go into using and advertising with AI generated posters? Someone is running for county something or another with an AI generated poster. Speedway I just got gas at has a buy one get one for $1 Mountain Dew poster. That's AI generated, completely AI. Every business, it's everywhere. The schools in the county I just moved to are using AI generated posters. Every post on every business is now AI. Now, I know I did not go into media arts programs and graphics design and everything in school just for this to happen, okay? Where's the creativity? What happened? This is so scary now. There is a baby carrier in Walmart right now. I just saw it today. It has a built-in Bluetooth speaker system in the infant carrier, the car seat. And the stroller, I'm pretty sure. It was a whole line by Graco or Evenflow, one of those. Guys, what are we doing? Moms, dads, fellas, sisters, everyone, what are we doing? like my son is in kindergarten, my daughter's going into preschool this August. They work on laptops almost all day long. What's happened? Why is this like, I know why it's happening, I understand, but like, I'm so flabbergasted at the fact that it's just out there everywhere right now. Like, it just hit me. Like, I'm noticing it everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy, and I admit I'm just as guilty as using AI. Now, when it comes to generative AI like artwork and videos, I have not done that in a long time because I kind of disagree with using something that's taking from the power grid and or being utilized from major data centers. Local installations I have no problem with because it's just running off of my own hardware on my own power system, but it's way better than a whole data center pulling from the power plant. And here in South Carolina, the amount of generative art that people use for their business, the mom and pop shops, even the big stores and gas stations are starting to use it more and more. And trust me, I do not agree with it, but I also understand why they're doing it, especially the mom and pop shops. Because a graphics art designer, they can easily cost anywhere from $500+ to create just one design. And a mom and pop shop's not going to pay that if they have the option to use a service that's primarily free to have the artwork generated, and or at most it costs $20, and that is for the artwork to just be generated however you prompt it to be. Now, does it look like cheap AI slop? Yes it does. But did it cost you $500+? No, it did not. It more than likely cost you significantly less, including with the print. So I get why small businesses do this. And I also understand why a lot of these graphic design artists are starting to utilize AI in their own artwork, because it's almost the only way to keep up with the game if you want to make business. Again, I do not agree with all of this. It is just the way it is going at the moment, and I'm really curious to know how it's going to turn out, because I have a feeling as long as generative AI is around, major corporations, they're all going to be AI slop. Everything about them will be, even the advertisements that they play on TV. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on how AI is turning out as far as artwork goes.
I actually have a really cool video for you today, and this is coming out of Egypt, captured by dozens of witnesses on the beaches of Sidi Barnini around May 5th of 2026. A mysterious object washed ashore on their beaches, and it appears to be this massive, gigantic column, but they have no idea where it came from or from what it came from. It's also awesome to see how the past still has a grip on us, and it sometimes just pops up out of nowhere. Take a look at this video, comment below, tell us what you think.
I looked into this a bit just to see if I could find out a little bit more about it, because it kind of has the CGI quality to it, but it also seems authentic. So far, there's no follow-up on this. There's only a Facebook post sharing this clip. So as of right now, it's being labeled as a hoax, and or it could just be misidentified debris. But that does look like a pillar of some sort. If anyone has any information on this, please let me know. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.